So, welcome to this, the day of Parsha Shemos. We're in Parsha Shemos. This is the Ve'elu Shemos B'nai Yisrael. So, we're getting into the letters. We're getting into the Osius. We're getting into the core. We're getting into the core of things. The core is that we have the story. We have a lot of stories. The stories is what creates filters and different lenses to how we view and see how one sees self, how one projects from self, and then that's being received back. So there is fascinating combinations of communications that are going back and forth, like the way one sees somebody based on their where they're at and how they receive back, how the other person receives it, and how you receive back what's coming back at you. So it's going back and forth, and that is all a part of this, the part of evolution, the part of this amazing, that you hit the stone and the spark comes out and it keeps sparking and sparking, and all that is, and we keep getting deeper and deeper into the process and further away from the onset, from where we come from. But we always go back to, when you hit the ball, you throw a ball and you hit the wall, it's going to come back. If I'm standing this way, it's going to come this way. If I throw it that way, it's going to come back this way. So wherever I'm aiming it from, that's where it's going to come back. Ultimately, it comes back to me, right? When you bounce a ball, it comes back to you, it comes back at you. So we are really just in the sparks of things. We're in the spark, we're in the manut, we're in the multiplication, we're in Olam Asiyah, where it's split into sparks and millions of pieces, but the main the onset, where we're coming from, that is there. We were aimed from a center. We're all coming from a center, and that started from the place of when Yaakov and Yosef and Yaakov and the Shvatim, all the sons, the Shivim Nefesh, they all went down to Mitzrayim. But the Kavanah was, the centerpiece was, our center is Yosef HaTzadik, Tzadik Yesod Olam. He is rectified all the way down to the core, and he was able to see the light all the way down to the core. And also Yaakov, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, means that the mission started from a specific place, and that space, that's called the Merkava. The others, there were Merkavas for this light, they were a vessel for that light, the ultimate light, the Yitke Vavke, and that keeps pulsing. So whatever we are, whatever you think, you're going deeper into your process, but ultimately we are constantly coming back. We're going to be ending up coming back to where we started from, coming back to the point of the Tachas HaKavanah, of why all this is transpired and transpiring, and what we aspire for and to. So, but then there is a level higher than that, which is Elokei Ivrim. Elokei Ivrim means that Hashem is spread out. There is the 70 masters, the Shivim Sarim, and it's also Yaakov Avinu had the 70 nefashos that went into Mitzrayim, that we are just as powerful combined as all of them. But the Nakuda is that the Elokei Ivrim means that Ivri means Me'ever, we're from the other side, which means that there is where Hishtalshala starts from, where creation starts from, where we are starting. The button was the first exposure, the first light was exposed, and from there it started, all based on the will. Not to get into that, want to keep it to the topic. And from there, it's said their Hishtalshala started taking on its own course and moving around based on what it needs to go, what needs to happen and transpire. But we are from Elokei Ivrim. We're from Ever Yarden. We're coming from a place that's called Ivriim. Ivri means, we were called Ivri, Jew, even before there was anti-Semitism. So the Jew is because we're from Ever Yarden. Not Ivri. That's what Sarmashkin said to Parit. So what is this Ivri? What's happening in this place Ivri? So there is a space in consciousness. There is a vibration that is called Ever Yarden, which is fueled by Amunah. It's fueled by faith. When we tap into faith, when we tap into Amunah, then it's a whole different program. everything moves differently. Everything starts going differently, and you can't just. There's different levels of faith. Faith is that when you shut everything down on Shabbos, and when you're the lifestyle that will lead to without doing and then dealing with it, that is fueled by faith, because by emunah. And emunah is magical. Emunah is able to seep through any type of challenge. How? Because emunah is the center. Emunah is in silence. Emunah is the closest thing to tachas apshitus, to simplicity, to our Creator. And when you're going into a place where there is conflict, and you're coming in from a place, you're entering from a place of simplicity where you're in absolute silence within yourself, that cracks. The silence is deafening. That silence, that ultimate silence, it's so silent that it removes anything that is within, anything that has a sound, anything that has a vibration is being kind of like made feel stupid, so to speak. It's kind of like the problem that you're experiencing. Everything is a vibration, everything is a movement. So the problem that we're experiencing or dealing or listening to or feeling is has a vibration. No matter how advanced one is, there's challenges. And the challenge is to get into a deeper space of emunah, which is more silence, that is going to be overshadowing, washing over, which means it's going to give you a clean slate once again, to breathe in and just have that wash down, like you have dust on the surface and you just wash it out. You wipe it away with a damp cloth, and it's clean once again. That is what's happening when we're going into emunah. So how's the process, how we get there? So the process is that we went into Mitzrayim, we went into the Meitzar. And the Meitzar is that when we are, we have to go through the squeeze. You have to go through the squeeze, and the squeeze is when you go through the squeeze, to go higher, you have to go deeper. And to go through the squeeze, that's when you're opening up the crown. When you are in a deeper within self, then the crown opens up. And when the crown opens up, you're in the Keser. And the Keser is where you're hovering in emunah. That's when you're going through hardship. When going through, I don't want to say hardship, because there's no answer for hardship, but let's just say the squeeze. Because when you say hardship, then we can get stuck in the victim story. I'm going through hardship, and you get, everything is in the words carry the power, and they carry the message. But if I'm saying I'm going through the squeeze, it means that I'm in a process. I need to go through the squeeze. When the child is born and comes out of the mother's womb, he or she is not going through hardship, it's going through the squeeze. Only to come into, to birth, to come into a new space. And when we enter from one space to another space, from one consciousness to another consciousness, we go through the squeeze, we go through the womb. So too, when we're going through a squeeze, it's only to get us through, to give us, to birth into something deeper. And how do I go into something, to go into something deeper and more, and another evolution? And how do I go into that space? That is by going into my deeper sense of in the center of self, which is imitating the way the world was created, which is one is wrapped in the other and in the center. So you have Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. One is wrapped in the other. And the center of it all is the Ratzon, that's the will. And when you tap into the will, you're going into the Ratzon, that end of the Ratzon, that opens up the doors to your next step into your evolution. So, in a sense, we're all captives, we're hostages, we're in captivity. We're in captivity here in Golus. We're in captivity. What's the captivity? The body is made out of we have the physical, and then inside the physical it has all the minerals. The minerals are the intelligence and how information is transferred, how it picks up the the messages, how it receives the radar detector. It has the light, the leichus. When a body dies, it dries out. But while you have your vitals are working, you need to hydrate, and everything is functioning. And they have different colors and different vibrations, and they pick up the message, and everybody has a different way how they vibe. So we have the body is the ifanam, it's the wheels that is carrying the chayas, is carrying the spirit. when we're feeling a lack, when we're feeling a squeeze, that is, so we go to the body. When I have a headache, when I have a pain, when something is not all right, I'm nurturing, I'm taking the body to the doctor. But then there is going, as we all know, that we're going into the core, we're going into the source of it, we're going into the what is behind the image, what's the energy behind the image. There is the letter, but the letter is only a block, it's a Lego. There's something there's a koyach that is inside the letter. The letter is carrying a message. The message inside my problem, the issue is only a picture, but there's something that is creating that picture. Haraya, tomorrow this image is gone and I'm on to the next one. So it's something that's driving my projection, is what's creating my reality. So our spirit, the intelligence is captive in the body, and we're addressing the body when really we want to address is the emotion. We want to address the koyach behind it. We want to address the feeling behind it, and that's what we have: the guf, the tzura. We have the physical, we have the tzura, and we have the ruach, you have the spirit, and bitachon. And bitachon will carry us through and gets us into Amunah, that gets us into that spiel that we're able to. Now, once the only thing that is keeping us locked up, that is holding us down in our restrictive mind, our way of thinking, is that we don't have a moment to breathe. And when you don't have a moment to breathe, that becomes the reality. We know that. So when my head is down, I walk my head down, all I can see is my head down. And everything around me is with the head down. My problems are with my head down. That's why sometimes you're dealing with an issue that has no solution, because there isn't really a solution to the problem, because this problem is not where it's at. It's a physical issue. It's a very low vibration. We're not judging it. We're stuck. We all have, our small letters that we're stuck in small letters. We're stuck in the program of otherside, the small letters. But once we realize that the koyach that we have, that we have to go inside, that it's our intelligence, and you understand that my intelligence is really where it's at. In other words, not that my body is what's dominating and telling me what's happening, what's going on with me. My inside is telling me what's going on with the outside. So that's why most of the time, if it's not too late, if you heal the emotional body, then the physical body is going to be healed, right? The physical body automatically changes. So sometimes it's a bit, you stretch too far, and now you need to go and deal with it physically, right? At some point you have to just surrender and take a Motrin. But most of the time it could be dealt with. You can breathe yourself through it, you can drink yourself through it, hydrate through it, or work yourself through it, and change it certainly, take something, a food that's gonna help you. But sometimes it's already, it's too late. You already caused, in other words, you were dehydrated, and now there is a physical symptom in the body that's inflamed, and now you need to take something, so you don't have to. You could still push through, but as we're getting older, we realize that there's no need for it. You can just deal with it in a softer way. Okay, evolution, right? Everybody evolves. So what happened was that in Mitzrayim, for Elishmas Bnei Yisrael, says the Matvali, that in Mitzrayim, Egypt, came with us the main, the superconscious, the neshama klali of all the Shvatim, and Yaakov and all the Immas, that all came with us, and the Shechina and Kitchabricha, everything came into the process, doing the process together. So what it means is that we are. There are superpowers. We have superpowers. We have koiches here that is beyond anything that one is going through. Anything that we're dealing with is only here to get us deeper within self, to dig deeper within self, so we can open up the crown. And that is what we're entering in this week in Shemoyos, which is when we're calling the names. The story is as out there. It creates a whole. Sometimes our story is so far removed from where we are that it just causes anxiety and pain. We have no answer to it. It's far away. We ventured all far into deep into the ocean. We're far away from any type of civilization. But when we're called by the name, when we're called by the name, when you're called by your name, you're identifying, you're finding. It reaches directly to the core. It reaches directly to the Ma'aver, Elokei, העבריים, הנהר. It reaches directly to the other side from before the chain of command and event is taking place. Because now I'm just rolling with, I make a change there. But when I go deep within my center, deep within myself, and we're finding the das, we're finding the center, and that light goes on, that opens up the crown, and you're able to, we're connected to something deeper and something higher. And that should take care of most of the issues, and whatever issues are still there are now being dealt with from an inside out process, not from an outside in, right? From an outside in, I can't walk through the wall. I can't go through the wall. There's a physical wall that's blocking me, and it's not meant to be broken. It's meant to direct me. When I'm encountering physical blockages, I'm not supposed to break through it. We do that sometimes, but that's when we're in Das Tachten. But it's meant to work smart, not hard, going inside and understanding that there's something more going on over here. There's something is that I don't need to go through physically the wall. I can go through the wall over here within my mind, in myself, within my being, and that is automatically going to take me to a door that I can just go through a door, find the door, and walk through the door instead of breaking the door, instead of breaking a wall. So, yeah, so we have everything is so everything I said, everything here pretty much is is enough to go around. So to take you where you need to go to. So there should be an elevated, a week of elevation going into the Shemas, going into the names, finding your name, finding your letters, finding your oisias, finding your inner peace. Finding the inner peace, the alignment, because ultimately, I go back a lot to asking myself the question: is everything is happening right now? I mean, it's a little bit of a trippy concept, so I'm always trying to rationalize it, to find some normalcy in it. So, Matan Torah is happening now. Yetzias Mitzrayim is happening now. Beis Hamikdash is happening now. It's all there. However, what's happening is that we are in time and space, but it's stretched. So we are living in multi dimensions at once. The tricky part is that. So how does that make sense, right? How do I go back to Matan Torah? How do I go back to where it was? Because we're trying to pick it up by the way we are, with the way we see it over here in the lowest space, which is in physical. But in physical, it already happened because time is traveling, right? When you're in physical time. However, when you're going into a more refined time, where time doesn't lapse so much, where it's more concentrated, it's more happening because everything started in a dot. Everything happened in 1 second. Everything happened. The whole 6,000 years is one dot. That's 1 second. That's just going through a process of expansion for our egos to process it, a process of expansion, I said. So it's going through a process of Zman, time and space. So I need to go through time and space. But so when I can't go back to a physical image of Matan Torah and Yetzias Mitzrayim, but internally, where it's inside of us, it's inside of each and every one of us, and it's happening right now. It's happening right now. And as we're going through the squeeze and the separation over here, remember that we are connected to the Shiftaka. We're connected to the 70 nefashos that came into Mitzrayim, and then the bodies that multiplied and quadrupled and tripled and so on and so forth is still holding space. The Shvatim, Yaakov Avinu, they are holding space for it. So we're connected to that. We're just the arms, the legs, and the fingers from the head of what's happening. So connecting to that, because in the physical, yes, there is a struggle, there's a problem to go back there, but in the emotional, in the das, in the presence, not in the emotional, deeper in the emotional, but then the das, in my presence, we can tap into what was, and the purpose of that is of what is. So I'm connecting to the source of our power generators, of the head of our beings. So I'm not here, when I'm here, I'm in separation. In separation, I'm getting crushed. But if I'm going into the source, that's what I'm tapping into, to מעבר, I'm tapping into the source, I'm tapping into the power generator, the motherboard, the one that holds the brain, the one that never lost sight, going to a space that never lost sight of what is. And that is the Amunah holding. And I need to go through the process. Through Amunah, I can enter that space that we're connecting again to our source, connecting to our Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. And nowadays we all have different sparks. We're not just one speed. We have multiple sparks. Each person is from multiple tribes and holding multicolor. That's why you have Chabad, and you have the Breslov. You have it's more of a combination rather than one kav. So have an awesome day. We should connect to the source, to the Neshama Klali, through B'tachan and through Amunah, and when we're connected in that space, automatically there will be abundance, there will be shefa. So because if I'm connected, then we're happy. If we're b'simcha, then we're in abundance, and if we're in abundance, then automatically you have everything you need. So instead of going out there and working in separation, I need this and I need that and I need this, and I also need to make panas and also need to go through relationships. I can go to be aligned in my relationships. I can go into my shefa, to my abundance from inside, and that automatically is going to dominate my guf, my body that's trying to keep me hostage and captive in its way of seeing things. Because when I'm in my source, I'm not struggling in my bitachon and my amunah. My spirit is not struggling with it. It is bitachon and amunah. I'm getting into my struggle when I'm dominated by the body, because that's the best it can do. That's the best. The body that lives in separation, that's the best it can do. It's about me. And when it comes about me, then I'm disconnected from the source, because the source is about everything. It's not about me. It's not about one. So if I'm going into that space, then I can. If I'm going into my inner self, to my higher self, then I'm in oneness. If I'm in oneness, my body becomes a vehicle to my oneness rather than the separation. Rather than the oneness becoming a vehicle for separation. So it starts splitting hairs, and that's where the struggle comes in. Have an awesome day, and you should be Shemus, the holy names.